Have you ever noticed how some women seem to possess a radiant glow that transcends their actual age? This isn't merely a result of good genetics or external beauty routines. It goes deeper. It points to a profound connection between inner vitality and outward appearance, one that surpasses what we commonly associate with skincare or cosmetic procedures. What we're really seeing is something that renowned psychologist Carl Gustav Jung would immediately understand. It's the soul shaping the body's expression. This inner harmony acts as a shield against the harsh erosion of time. And by the time you reach the end of this exploration, you might completely rethink how inner light affects visible aging. The real secret isn't what these women do, it's what they carry within. It's a subtle yet powerful alignment with a spiritual rhythm, a timeless energy that acts as a protective field. These women, in their essence, embody something ancient and enduring. Their glow is not artificial, but arises from within, a force of soul-level coherence. Imagine a woman walking into a crowded room. She doesn't draw attention through flamboyance, but rather through an aura, an inexplicable magnetism. Her face carries stories yet appears untouched by them. Her eyes reflect wisdom and childlike curiosity at once. This is the archetype of the illuminated feminine, the kind that remains youthful not by defying age, but by transcending its emotional weight. Jung described this phenomenon as individuation, the union of the conscious and unconscious mind, creating inner wholeness. These women often reflect this process through their outward transformation. They are living symbols of what Jung called the eternal feminine, a quality that exists outside of time, beyond biological aging. Jung believed in something called the anima mundi, or world soul, the invisible thread that connects all beings. These women are attuned to that rhythm. Their lives are not just personal. They resonate with something universal. Consciousness, in their case, literally shapes time, and in turn, the body housing that consciousness. They share a rare ability to turn pain into wisdom without becoming bitter. While others are burdened by disappointments, they transform their struggles into radiance. Picture a woman who has experienced profound loss, and yet her face reflects softness instead of sorrow. She hasn't avoided life. She has metabolized it. Through what Jung called active imagination, she has worked creatively with the unconscious, healing deeply in the process. This prevents toxic emotional patterns from embedding themselves in the body, patterns that otherwise accelerate aging. The ancient Greeks spoke of two kinds of time: chronos, the mechanical progression of hours and years, and kairos, sacred time that transcends chronology. These radiant women dwell mostly in kairos. Chronos touches them only when necessary, but never defines them. It all begins, however, with what Jung called confronting the shadow, the aspects of ourselves we would rather hide. Most people expend enormous energy suppressing these parts, and it shows in their expressions, their posture, their energy. But the luminous woman, she has made peace with her shadow. She has not battled it, but integrated it. From this integration comes a deep inner fullness, something the ancient alchemists might have referred to as the philosopher's stone. Once the draining inner conflict ends, energy is freed up for regeneration. The face relaxes naturally. The eyes clear, free from the fog of unprocessed pain. Posture becomes authentic, exuding genuine confidence. But there's something deeper still. Jung realized that the soul operates under its own laws of time, what he called synchronicity. Meaningful coincidences reflect a reality beyond linear cause and effect. Women who embody this quality seem to live partially outside ordinary time. Jung named this capacity the observing self, the conscious part that remains engaged yet detached from the everyday drama. This inner stance allows them to witness their own process rather than be consumed by it. And here lies the paradoxical shield. Because they are consciously aware of aging, the process slows. They age as participants, not as victims. This ties back to what Jung called the transcendent function, the bridge between conscious and unconscious that enables true transformation. Through this, aging becomes not a decline, but a deepening. And the light these women radiate is not just beauty, it's awareness made visible. Have you ever noticed that some women seem to exist in a kind of radiant bubble, unaffected by the typical signs of aging? It's not merely good genetics or external beauty routines. There's something far deeper at play. These women age, yes, but the pace at which they evolve aligns more with the soul's rhythm than the ticking of the clock. Their development responds to internal harmony, not chronological demands. You might have encountered such women who seem ageless, who radiate a calm luminosity that defies time. They carry themselves with grace born not from vanity, but from deep inner work. Their emotional scars become reservoirs of wisdom instead of sources of fatigue. Their laughter springs from profound places, and their silences carry peace. In their presence, one senses unspoken mysteries. Modern science is just beginning to grasp what Carl Jung intuited decades ago: the profound link between mind and matter. The field of epigenetics now reveals how emotions influence gene expression. Persistent stress accelerates cellular aging, while states of joy and inner calm support regeneration. Even biological markers like telomeres react sensitively to our emotional health. These women, through their connection to what Jung called the collective unconscious, tap into ancient archetypal energies. They are nourished by a timeless feminine current that acts almost like a biological blessing. Their bodies repair more efficiently. Their vitality endures. They maintain a vital dialogue with themselves, showing wholeness and purpose. Physiologically, they exhibit balanced cortisol levels, stable inflammation markers, and optimal cellular repair. Their peaceful minds become medicine for the body. This is not a fantasy. It reflects the integrated view Jung held, that mind and body are not separate, but two facets of one reality. A shift in one inevitably impacts the other. He also spoke of the soul's religious function, not in a dogmatic sense, but as a reverence for life itself. Women who cultivate this sacred awareness treat their bodies as temples of consciousness. This deep respect protects them against the typical wear of life. These luminous women have mastered what Jung called the art of letting go. They release what no longer serves, without clinging to outdated roles or beliefs. They understand that every phase of life brings symbolic death and rebirth, and they embrace these transitions with dignity. While others carry emotional burdens, they consciously surrender, retaining only what nurtures their soul's growth. Letting go for them also means shedding imposed roles. Jung described the persona as the social mask we wear. Over-identifying with it can harden the psyche. But radiant women wear their roles lightly, like seasonal garments. Jung's concept of the eternal feminine describes an inner principle that operates autonomously and supports higher growth. It prevents stagnation by keeping women connected to their cyclical nature rather than linear timelines. Through what Jung called the transcendent function, they find a third way beyond youth and old age, beauty and decline, meaning and absurdity. In their presence, time becomes a companion, not a foe. They don't fight against it, they move with it like dancers. There is, indeed, a sacred quality to these women that momentarily lifts the weight of time for those around them. Jung would have seen in them not a wise old witch, but a living archetype of timeless wisdom. They have deepened their access to the collective unconscious, continuously renewing themselves through dreams, intuition, and perception. This maintains balance against the rigid ego and keeps their development aligned with authentic growth. Their extraordinary spiritual essence echoes many of Jung's theories. They embody the union of opposites, masculine and feminine within, light and shadow, strength and vulnerability. This internal marriage becomes a form of psychological alchemy, transforming all it touches. Their faces become living mandalas, symbols of a self fully integrated. The harmony in their expressions isn't a genetic fluke, but the visible outcome of inner labor. The light in their eyes reflects the unity of a fully harmonized personality. And nowhere is this more evident than in how they process pain. Their quality is unmistakable in how they suffer, heal, and rise again, always with grace, always with wisdom, always with timeless beauty. While others may be weighed down by the lasting scars of pain, these women have cultivated what Carl Jung described as a spiritual attitude towards psychic experiences. They understand that within every wound lies the seed of healing, and that every crisis carries the potential for higher awareness. These luminous women have mastered what Jung referred to as differentiated feeling, the ability to distinguish between emotions that promote growth and those that perpetuate old patterns of suffering. They possess the capacity to grieve deeply without becoming lost in sorrow. They can express anger with clarity without poisoning their internal systems. This level of emotional maturity protects them from the inflammatory responses often linked to accelerated aging. It doesn't mean they avoid suffering or pretend it doesn't exist. Rather, they have developed the ability to remain present with experience, to endure what Jung called the tension of opposites. They don't rush to escape or search for quick fixes. This resilience prevents the internal fragmentation that accelerates aging. Even under pressure, their nervous systems remain regulated. This coherence affects their hormones, immune responses, and cellular renewal. The peace they cultivate in their soul becomes a medicine for their body. Yet perhaps the most remarkable aspect of these women is their relationship with the future. While others cling to youth or fear the passage of time, they embody what Jung called a forward-looking mindset, an awareness of the growth potential in every moment. They live in the process of becoming. This consciousness creates a field of possibility around them. They attract experiences and relationships that nurture their development. Their clear intent toward growth shapes the conditions of their lives. Jung referred to this as synchronicity in action. Their faces reflect this openness to the future. Where others exhibit features hardened by resignation, they maintain fluid expressions. Their eyes are filled with curiosity about what life will bring. They embody Jung's concept of lunus mundus, the unified world of inner and outer realities. These women understand what alchemists call the harmony between the microcosm and the macrocosm. Their personal transformation goes beyond aging. It aligns with nature's endless cycles. The spiritual presence they carry is deeply rooted not only in their relationship with themselves, but also in their connection to what Jung called archetypal forces, unseen powers that shape human experience. They have consciously learned to work with these universal patterns. From them, they draw strength and renewal. In their presence, we feel this archetypal link, as if they are carrying something beyond their own life story, as if they have access to the wisdom of all the women who have walked similar paths before them. This collective feminine quality gives them a timeless authority, one that has nothing to do with appearance. Their laughter echoes the eternal feminine, which Jung recognized as one of the foundational structures of the soul. When they speak, we don't just hear their voices. We sense something greater speaking through them. They become vessels for divine feminine expression. This openness requires what Jung termed a porous self, a self strong enough to maintain its identity, yet permeable enough to allow transcendence. Achieving this balance takes years, but once it is reached, these women shine with a clarity that surpasses personal boundaries. Jung described this as the conjunction, the mystical union of the conscious and the unconscious, the masculine and feminine, the temporal and the eternal. From this inner unity arises what alchemists call the wise child. Their faces become living testimonies of this inner harmony. Women who embody this quality have learned to live what Jung referred to as a symbolic life, where every experience speaks to something beyond the surface. This existential posture shields them from the inner void that causes many to age in despair due to a lack of meaning. For them, every day and every action becomes a small ritual of renewal. Relationships mirror their growth. Challenges become opportunities for deeper understanding. This alchemical approach means no experience is wasted. Every moment contributes to their evolution. That meaning is reflected in the vitality of their physical presence. Jung believed the soul has a natural healing function, a tendency toward wholeness that operates independently of conscious will. In women who carry this extraordinary spiritual presence, that function is consciously activated and nourished. A continuous process of cellular renewal unfolds, moving from the inside out. This transformation isn't limited to external appearances. It reshapes the entire way the body experiences life. This revelation underscores that the true source of youthfulness is not found in distant, mythical lands, but rather in a psychological state accessible to anyone ready to embark on the inner journey of integration and self-realization, as described by Jung. These remarkable individuals, especially women who embody this spiritual essence, haven't stumbled upon a secret recipe or magical formula. Instead, they have cultivated a life aligned with the deeper currents of their soul. They engage consciously with the archetypal patterns that shape human experience and maintain a vivid connection to the transcendent dimensions of being. Their youthful aura is, in reality, a reflection of their inner spiritual maturity. The sense of wholeness they project manifests physically, radiating outward from within. They understand what ancient alchemists called the opus contra naturam, the paradoxical work against nature that, in truth, reveals our truest nature. In their presence, we sense what's possible when the powers Jung identified are harnessed consciously. They are not just symbols of personal achievement. They represent a collective possibility that as consciousness evolves, the body reflects this transformation. If this video's exploration of Jungian thought has shifted your perception of aging or the challenges in your life, we invite you to take one simple yet powerful step. In the comments, write this phrase as a symbol of your intention to transform pain into wisdom. Pain is the seed of light. With this gesture, you acknowledge your struggles and commit to embracing them as raw material for inner growth. Just as Jung described the process of turning suffering into a sacred opportunity for renewal. And to continue deepening your understanding of spiritual growth and psychological insight, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. Remember, the greatest beauty is the light that shines from a soul that is whole and unmasked.